This is an Australian Living Labs Innovation Network presentation. Our mission is to promote Living Labs in Australia, develop the practitioner base, and foster collaboration opportunities with Living Labs everywhere. Today we're talking to Zsuzsanna Bódi and Paolo Vissano, the Association Manager and the Network Manager at the European Network of Living Labs based in Brussels.
And so what difference do you think Living Labs have made to the innovation ecosystem, particularly in Europe, as that's the sort of the core membership, but maybe beyond as well. But what difference do you think Living Labs have made?
I will elaborate on it from one point of view, and the reason is that now there is an initiative which is very, very strong now in Europe, also for political reasons, but I think it's a very good initiative. It's about the open science, open to the world, open innovation, the 3 O's policy initiative. That is about citizen science, so opening up science to all European citizens. And I think that is supported by Living Labs since their beginning. So it was a 10-year, I think, a 10-year-long story to get to a point where now it's embraced on a European level, and hopefully it will go beyond Europe. Although we would be also interested to hear how it's done in Australia, for instance. But the idea is to open up science-related information and integrate normal citizens, I would say, so not only researchers, really in the research paradigm and research constellation, to co-create together new research findings. It's an interesting, it's going to be a very interesting path, but I think, and that's what we are also telling to the policymaker, and that's why ENoLL was also selected, represented by our president, to be part of the Open Science Policy Platform, because we have former experience on how to facilitate this whole idea, this initiative. So I think just to mention one way how Living Labs support the innovation ecosystem or innovation floor of Europe and globally, I think this is already something quite relevant. And maybe one more thing is to bring closer policymakers to their citizens. So if we really go to the city or regional level, how to integrate, how to make the citizens the builder or their own, I don't know, future creator, if you want, if you see what I mean.
And we need to think that process started already back at the beginning of 2000. So if nowadays the idea of involving users and citizens it has become sort of mainstream in certain environments, but not in all. This was, I would say, almost revolutionary at the beginning of 2000, because almost nobody was talking about that, and innovation was still happening, for what I heard, because I was also myself very young, in a very top-down way.
Yes, I think certainly we're probably not quite there yet in Australia. We're sort of moving along, but not. I get the sense that Europe is definitely ahead in this. In this regard. So you also mentioned smart cities before as a kind of key theme. So I was wondering if there's an example for smart cities as well that you could share.
Yes, well, I'm going to share 2 examples. Those are project related, so maybe then we can also highlight some other projects that are more run locally. But for the moment, ENoLL is partner. It's not even 2, but 3 initiatives. 2 of them are really going towards this environmental path, where there are Living Labs born as a result of the project in order to control better air pollution in different cities. So there is an air pollution monitoring through cheap sensors that are available technology-wise, but those are the citizens that facilitate the whole experimentation process, and voluntarily they are part of the pilots, and they are censoring the city's air quality level. providing very valuable data on a European level. And then there is another initiative which aims to create this pan-European digital platform in a standardized way in order to share big data that can be handled in different countries the same way, and also to learn from this data very important conclusions.
Mm-hmm. Well, from my side, several examples could be described. One that I have in mind that fascinated me a few months back is the one of Bristol Living Lab in England, indeed. A lab that is placed in a very challenging and socially difficult neighborhood of the city, and these two ladies that started out these labs decided at some point to do something for that territory, to try improve life of those people by giving them tools to improve, to get better as persons, as citizens. And then if you go visit this lab, you will discover a very nice place where actually citizens that don't have a lot of opportunities in that society have the possibility to run cultural projects, to discover innovation projects, to learn new skills that can allow them finding a job later on in the future. So you visit this lab and you really understand, as I did a few months back, how a living lab is about social innovation indeed, but is, as Zsuzsanna was saying a few minutes ago, about having an impact on society, really through innovation. So giving citizens the tools to be main characters in their local territory and really have an impact. And all this, if I still think about Bristol Living Lab, done in collaboration with academia, because they collaborate very actively with Bristol University, and done very closely with the city, so with the public body that is actually running the city, so to speak. So I'm just giving some elements, but those are the kind of things that we experience in ENoLL that we like, and that's where we see the added value of a living lab in a territory.
Yeah, and also even we have, as earlier we mentioned, that we have this strong social integration and inclusion project, and then you also have more the technology-driven smart city projects. So it's good to have this two-phased, I would say, type of projects running. Maybe something also important to mention, but there are lots of examples in Helsinki, the Kalasatama part of the city that was built together with the citizens based on their ideas, basically, and it's a whole new part of the city that was truly built in collaboration with the citizens. Then we had other initiatives, for instance, next to Paris, Issy-les-Moulineaux, who is running many experimentations together with the cities and companies to test new navigation solutions or different kind of apps when it comes to mobility. So it really, I would say, the smart city related project, they really touch upon all different kind of city solutions, from environmental to technology driven to social inclusion and innovation, and so on.
And so I remember the lady from Bristol whose name just escaped me, but presenting in Montreal, and I think they showed their little sort of electronic frogs that they'd made that sense damp in homes, and then people were having these in their homes, and that gave some data for certain suburbs, and that affected the policy making when that data was made public, if I remember correctly. And that was quite inspiring. It was something quite small, had quite a big effect on that community, and was able to make policy differences.
Indeed, just recently there was an event organized by Bristol City Council and the Brussels Bristol office, and I was very positively surprised that in a way the city now automatically thinks about this living lab to work together whenever it comes to engaging citizens and testing new solutions. So this so-called triple or now quadruple helix model works very fine there, because there is a trust relationship, and I think that's the most important part to reach when you start a living lab.
But if I can add something very quickly to this, because indeed you were asking about smart cities. I think that several living labs are working in that area and trying to give a very customized reply to the more general question, what is a smart city? And I think that there isn't, of course, only one answer. There are several. There is actually one or more answers per each and every city, and every lab develops itself in a very different, unique way, trying to reply to the very local, specific questions that come out of that territory.
Anything you can tell us about how this kind of co-creation with the citizens, but then we have policymakers who are maybe used to an elected representatives who have potentially have a more of a top-down view of things. How has that worked? Are there sometimes tensions between those two groups, or what's the experience there?
I had a recent experience, and that tells a lot about, speaking about Europe, we still have very big differences, which is good because, again, it's about exchanging knowledge and different cultural point of views. So we were invited a few people to Sofia by the municipality in order to create some ideas, solutions on their local challenges when it comes to engaging citizens and how to communicate with citizens, especially about public consultation, so city level related decision making, because there is quite a strong trust issue still present because of their history and for many other reasons. So in fact, those were more the policy makers who initiated this whole workshop to learn from experts of open innovation how to change their current way of thinking and operating. Because if you read really these studies about best practices and the most innovative capitals and cities, well, I think in most of the cases, and this is a study that also we are currently writing together with other organizations, cities as living labs, that those cities and urban places who engage their cities and work in this open innovation way of thinking, they are much more ahead from economical point of view, and also just the level of life is much nicer. So I think that even in places which are not so developed from this point of view, they're very open to change their methods, their current methods, and even if it takes a bit longer, they embrace the initiatives that, for instance, living labs represent, and they want to learn from us. So there is a strong movement also towards going this policy labs direction, where policymakers, together with the citizens, they come up with new ideas how to rule the city, for instance.